You know, have you ever stopped to think about the quiet miracle that happens every single time you get a cut or a bruise? It's incredible, right? Your body is this amazing healing machine constantly working to repair damage, and you don't even have to think about it. Today, we're going to dive deep into this amazing biological process.
So, what's really going on under the skin? I mean, how does a really complex injury, we're talking everything from skin and muscle all the way down to the bone, how does it manage to put itself back together? Well, we're going to find out, and we're going to do it by following one specific journey.
So check this out. This timeline maps out the 4-month healing journey of a pretty severe foot injury. We're going to use these key events as our roadmap to understand the body's absolutely brilliant repair strategy from the inside out. Okay, first up, we have to talk about the very first thing that happens after you get hurt, and it's something we've all felt, that puffy, tender swelling. But what is it really?
Right, so let's go back to that foot injury. The very first response from the body was swelling. It got all puffy, tender, and just plain uncomfortable. And I know our first instinct is usually to grab an ice pack and try to get that swelling down, but it turns out it's actually a crucial first step in the entire healing process.
Yeah, this is the key. Swelling isn't just some random puffiness. It is a deliberate action by your body. It's like an emergency response system that floods the injured zone with more blood and extra fluid. It's basically setting up a mobile command center right at the site of the injury.
And I know, this seems totally backwards, right? It hurts, it makes it hard to move. How could this possibly be a good thing? Well, it turns out that this initial response is one of the smartest things your body does. Okay, so here's the brilliant mission behind all that swelling. Think of that increased blood flow as a superhighway, just rushing in food and water to fuel the rebuilding cells. At the same time, that extra fluid acts like a dedicated cleanup crew, carrying away damaged cells and fighting off any potential infections. It's an incredibly efficient, multi-purpose first response. So, with the emergency response underway and the area all prepped, the real construction work can begin. And for that, we have to zoom in. I mean, way, way in, to see the microscopic repair crew get to work.
Right, the swelling is the big event we can see and feel, but really, it's just the support system. The actual magic of rebuilding tissue, that's all happening at the cellular level.
So how does the body actually fill a gap in, say, your muscle or skin? It's this really elegant three-step dance. First, the injury creates a void. Then, the healthy cells right at the edge of that void get a signal to start dividing. They literally make more of themselves. And finally, these brand new cells build a bridge of fresh tissue until the gap is completely closed. Just amazing.
And just think about this. All of this incredible cellular activity, millions of tiny repairs are all happening within one single interconnected system, your body. Everything is coordinated towards one single goal, making you whole again.
But, this microscopic repair work doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's not a solo act. For it to actually work, multiple systems all throughout your body have to work together in perfect harmony. It's kind of like a symphony.
And that is the key takeaway here. A single cell can't heal a foot all by itself. It really does take a symphony of different body systems, with each one playing its own vital part in this performance we call healing.
So let's look at a couple of the star players in this orchestra. You've got the circulatory system. That's the logistics team. Its huge network of blood vessels is delivering oxygen and nutrients and then hauling away all the cellular trash. And then you have the nervous system. That's the communications hub. It sends that first pain signal that screams, hey, something's wrong. And later, it helps coordinate the muscle movements you need for recovery. This brings up another fascinating point. Not all tissues are created equal when it comes to repair. In the case of our foot injury, the skin, which has a really rich blood supply, was patched up relatively quickly. But the bones? They're a much denser, more complex structure, so they took way longer to fill in their gaps. Different parts, different healing timelines. Okay, for our final section, let's pull the camera back and look at the bigger picture. We've talked a lot about how we humans heal, but some animals take this whole concept to a truly mind-blowing extreme.
So for us, healing is fundamentally about repair, right? It's about patching a hole. But in other corners of the animal kingdom, healing looks a whole lot more like creation.
So here's the core difference. Our bodies are masters of repair. We fill a gap with new tissue. But some animals are capable of something else entirely, regeneration. They don't just patch a hole, they grow back an entire complex lost body part from scratch. I mean, really think about that. A lizard can lose its tail to a predator and just grow a new one. A sea star can lose an entire arm, and over time, a brand new, fully functional arm will just emerge. They aren't just healing the wound, they are literally recreating a limb.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. This incredible ability to regenerate, it starts to blur the line between what we call healing and what we call growing. Are they even two different things?
Which leaves us with this final, really cool question to think about. When your body fills a gap after an injury, is it just reactivating the same fundamental program it used to grow you from a single cell in the first place? Maybe all healing, at its very core, is simply a memory of how to grow.